Welcome back to Bound News Network. Welcome back to Volume 2, Chapter 7. We're actually working on 12 brand new words that we're going to be focusing on our grammar series. And those words start with cosmopolitan, dissonance, paradox, all the way to vanguard. And of course, we're going to be deploying our word cloud storage memory system that we've been actually using, that we've actually prepared to help our students actually retain their memory and increase their memory call of the words that they're taking a look at. So, without further ado, let's take a look at 12 new words that we're working with today, and we can also see how they're actually used. If you recall from our last video, we introduced our word cloud storage memory system, and these are clouds that are actually assigned to designated storage bins along using the human anatomy or the human body as a reference. This has actually worked pretty well for many of our students because they're actually able to picture the word that was assigned to the picture or associated with the picture in the exercise several days after going through the exercise. And with ongoing use, as you use different tools, this is actually, you're actually filing away the memory of the word in a different filing cabinet within your own mind by assigning it to a point of reference on the human body. So if you remember, we have four groups here: HEM, SSE, AWH, and KAF, and that stands for hair, ear and mouth for group 1, shoulder, stomach, elbow for group 2, which is the orange group. The first group is a blue group, and then we have a red group, which is AWH, arm, wrist, hand, and then we have knee, ankle, foot for our gray group, and that closes out the three color-coded four color-coded groups of three vocabulary terms, and then we attach them to their most popular synonym with a picture word association just before we actually look at the actual definition of the word. We have found that this system has worked quite well. Please let us know in the comments if this memory recall system is working for you. So let's start from the top. Cosmopolitan, this is an adjective meaning worldly, and the word worldwide is a common synonym for the word cosmopolitan. Let's actually take a look and see how it's actually used in a sentence. Sample sentence: Peter dreamt of the day when he would become a flight attendant and he could enjoy a more cosmopolitan existence. Of course, it means adjective meaning worldly. So there we have the world as a picture association to the word worldwide, and also we attached it to the hair storage bin, because when you think of the hair on top of your head, it is universal, meaning it covers most of your head. So you can always associate with hair, cosmopolitan, worldwide, and then of course picture shows association, which is the globe or the earth, which is worldwide, adjective meaning worldly. And then we look at denote. It means synonym, symbolize. We have a musical note here for obvious reasons, because we're going to be filing away the word denote to the air storage bin in the group HEM, and synonym, symbolize. And you see the musical note there. Denote is verbs as far as stand. Stand as a symbol for. Let's see how it's actually used in a sentence here. And we can actually see denote, sample sentence. When Jennifer was hired to design the logo for HR brand, the marketing director demanded that the logo conveys and denotes quality, environmental sustainability, and excellence. Verb meaning stand as a symbol for. Stand as a symbol for. So you can actually use picture word association of the musical note to denote for the air storage bin, which is part of the HEM blue group. Then we have the word desultory. Desultory. Desultory stands for disconnect. Disconnect. Synonym sporadic. So when we think of disconnect, we could think of a plug where you're actually unplugging a device from the socket, the wall socket. So there you have the plug picture that is actually associated with desultory, desultory, and sporadic, and it's assigned to the mouth storage bin on the human body, and that narrows out our HEM group, our blue group. So our blue group comprised of cosmopolitan, denote, and desultory. If you're to only think of the three pictures that were assigned to this group, cosmopolitan, the world, denote, musical note, and desultory, plug. Desultory, disconnected. Word, adjective, desultory, disconnected. And that actually means, let's take a look and see how it's actually used in a sentence. Desultory, sample sentence. He was passionate about becoming an actor. However, his desultory practice of his trade or craft was evidence, meaning that the passion was there as an actor, but he was disconnected as far as a practice of his trade when it came to his craft. Adjective meaning disconnected. So that would be our blue group that we're actually looking at. So without even looking at our our memory system, we can actually see the world and the music group as well as a plug, and that's actually assigned to the word cosmopolitan, worldly, denote with a musical group, denote with a musical note. And then we have desultory, which was assigned as the plug. So that is our blue group. So as we go into our next group, that is actually assigned as our storage group, SSE, which stands for shoulder, stomach, elbow. We see dissonance, dissonance, and a synonym for dissonance is inharmonious. So you actually have a picture of a lady covering her eardrums with her hands. Dissonance means harsh sound, so inharmonious, and it's assigned to the orange group, dissonance. And let's see how it's actually used in a sentence, ladies and gentlemen. Dissonance, sample sentence. As a piano instructor, she learned to accept the fact that dissonance was a harsh reality of her teaching trade. Noun meaning harsh sound. So the piano instructor realized that she would actually get many students who were unable to play at first, which would lead to dissonance or harsh sounds that were not harmonious. So dissonance is inharmonious as a synonym, harsh sound. You should be able to remember that word by associating it with a woman covering her eardrums with her hands. And then in a second word in that orange group is emaciate, 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 and that means to look incredibly thin. There we have the picture association next to the synonym of skinny. We see a woman there with apparently became incredibly thin and no longer able to fit in her clothes. So if we look at the word meaning emaciate, emaciate, we see that sample sentence. There's a rumor in Hollywood that Tom Hanks fasted to become the emaciated character he played in the very popular movie Castaway. Verb meaning to look incredibly thin. So without looking at the memory recall, we do see that we're associating the word emaciate, emaciate, with the picture of a woman who's unable to fit in her jeans, as she's incredibly thin, which is the meaning of the word to look incredibly thin. Skinny is a synonym for emaciate. And then we have furtive, furtive attached to the elbow. And we see that the synonym is sly. And there we have a fox, the picture of a fox. And if you recall, a popular idiom is sly as a fox. And in this case, you should always remember furtive. The picture, you have those, the word fur is in the word. So if you associate furtive to sly as a fox, adjective meaning done very secretly, you can actually see that that is a good picture to word association that will allow you to remember the word furtive, done very secretly. Synonym sly. So let's take a closer look and see how it's actually used in a sentence. One of the most popular fitness instructors on Instagram lost a lot of weight, and he was furtive about his diet. So he actually lost a lot of weight, but he did not disclose information about his diet. He was sly as a fox about actually how he actually lost the weight. Most people may have assumed that he did a lot of exercising, but he was furtive about his diet. Adjective meaning done very secretly. So if we actually look so far, we're looking at 6 picture associations. If you were just to look at the picture associations so far to test your memory, we have the world, we have the music note, we have the plug, we have the lady covering her eardrums with her hands, and we have a lady with fitting in extra large jeans that are unable to fit, and then we have a fox. So if you were just to section off, put your hands and section off those words, even not without even looking at their synonyms in your mind, try to picture what the word was actually assigned to. So we have the world, cosmopolitan. We have the musical note, D note. We have the plug. What was the plug? Desultory. And we have the lady covering her eardrums, dissonance, harsh sound, skinny. We know that was emaciate, and sly as a fox. We know furtive, because remember FURTIVE, furtive, sly as a fox. So that will be one way just to quickly test your memory and increase your recall, just by covering your hand over the template and actually just looking at the picture word association and firmly planting that a word to picture association in your mind and filing it away into the filing cabinets of your mind. The world, cosmopolitan, music note, symbolize, and that would be D note, the plug, unplug, which is desultory, and then the harsh sound we know is dissonance, and then we know emaciate, skinny, sly as a fox, and you keep doing this until you apply. You can actually picture the word to that picture without even actually looking. Cosmopolitan, the world. The note is D note. We have the plug, which is desultory. So we know from the three, the blue group, cosmopolitan, we have D note and desultory. Cosmopolitan, D note, and desultory. The world, the note, and the plug. Cosmopolitan, D note, and desultory. Desultory is assigned to the plug because that means disconnected. Desultory. And then we know inharmonious is a pretty good one. Dissonance, harsh sound. Skinny, emaciated, look as sly as a fox, furtive. If you had a little difficulty with the musical note, just keep going back to the picture and word association. Musical note, if you just want to imagine the blue cloud, which would be D note, and the blue cloud for the plug, which is desultory. So that is an ongoing memory recall. Now you should have firmly planted in your mind the first 6: cosmopolitan, blue, D note, blue, desultory, blue, dissonance, orange, emaciate, orange, furtive, orange. So let's go to the next six so we can firmly plant them away into the file cabinets of our mind. So we have monotony, and a synonym for that one would be uniformity. And there we have the uniform, a police figurine in a uniform. And monotony is noun for lack of variation. So let's see how it's actually used. Monotony, sample sentence. After working for a call center for over 5 years, Jennifer decided that it was time to make a career change and break free from the monotony of her boring customer service job. Noun meaning lack of variation. Lack of variation. So we assigned the picture of uniform to uniformity. Uniformity is a synonym for monotony, and we have lack of variation. So just think of the uniform of a police officer when it comes to monotony, or it could be the uniform of a military service person, or the military of the uniform of perhaps a hospital worker, a nurse, any type of uniform, and that will symbolize uniformity. Our next word is paradox. Paradox, synonym is enigma. It's a contradiction. So there you have the person standing and his shadow is being casted. And why would we use a picture of a person with the shadow being casted, but the shadow has his hands around the neck of the person? Let's see how it's actually used. Paradox. Missy completed 1 month of the Weight Watchers program despite binging on Krispy Kreme donuts last night. So noun meaning contradiction. We see how it's possibly used, and we see that picture of the shadow being the person being choked around the neck by the shadow, it represents an enigma. So paradox, enigma, and it's assigned to the file cabinet of your wrist. So in the red group we have monotony and paradox so far. Paradox, enigma, contradiction. So if you were to go ahead and do that memory block off, we know that maybe the two words that we had a little difficulty with earlier was symbolize, but we do know it's in the blue group, so we know that's denote, and we know the plug had to do with a word that's similar to disconnected, and it means synonym is sporadic, but we know it's a blue word, and that's desultory. So there you go. So now you should have added monotony, which is uniform, police uniform, enigma, and enigma contradiction would be paradox. And then we have in the red group savor, and that is a smell, synonym. And there we have a picture of the spice saffron, and noun verb a characteristic flavor. Let's see how it's actually used in a sentence. And we see savor, sample sentence. Peter wanted to savor life's special moments while he was young, so he quit his job and decided to travel through Asia. Noun verb meaning characteristic flavor. Savor. So there we have it. So we can associate the word saffron, or the spice saffron, with smell, and verb noun characteristic flavor. So there we have the red group, AWH, arm, wrist, hand. If we remember that the wrist had to do with the hands around the shadow choking the person. Contradiction of paradox. Monotony, uniform. Savor, saffron. Smell, spice, association. And let's look at the green group, supplant, knee, supplant. So you could think about planting your knee in the file cabinet. So we're going to put supplant in the knee file cabinet of our memory storage system. But there we see it has to do with an older car, an older vehicle. A synonym is displace. Let's see how it's actually used in a sentence. And we can actually see supplant. Sample sentence. When John brought his Tesla, he was so happy to supplant his gas guzzler with a high performance electric vehicle. Verb meaning to take the place of or displace. So in this case, we're associating an antique car with the word displace, to take the place of, supplant, supplant. And then we have the word tortuous. Tortuous, synonym devious. Now we are using the picture of a crest of thorns, similar to the one placed on the head of Jesus Christ, simply as a way to make a synonym picture association of devious. So the word is tortuous, and we're using a bed of thorns or a crown of thorns, similar to the one that was placed on the head of Jesus Christ during the crucifixion. Adjective meaning not straightforward. Let's see how it's actually used. Tortuous. Did the Prime Minister expect that we would believe his tortuous speech when most people in the country know that he has no intention of taking action about climate change? Adjective meaning not straightforward. So there we have a bed of thorns, a crown of thorns, associated with the synonym devious, and we want to make a reference to the betrayal of Christ, and adjective meaning not straightforward. And also we see it's similar to the word tortuous, and we're filing that word away into the ankle falc storage bin. So tortuous, devious, thorns, adjective meaning not straightforward. And then we have vanguard. Vanguard, it's a noun, leaders in a movement. We decided to use a picture of a roaring lion as leader of the pack. Synonym, pathfinder. So let's see how it's actually used. Vanguard. Sample sentence. For many years, the Vanguard Funds Group was at the forefront of mutual funds investing. So Vanguard, leaders in a movement. So we see here that we have finalized all 12. So let's do that block off memory and see what we can, if we remember the picture association for the word. So in the blue group, cosmopolitan, we can actually see cosmopolitan was a world, D note was a music note, desultory was a plug, dissonance was the lady covering her eardrums with her hands, emaciate was the woman with in oversized jeans, furtive, sly as a fox, monotony was uniformity, picture of a toy police character, paradox, and if you remember, paradox was a picture of a shadow being cast, and a shadow was actually choking the figure. Savor, saffron. So the picture that was of the savor, smell, saffron. Surplant, we are using the image of an antique car, because supplant means to displace or replace. So in our sample sentence, we were referencing that supplant was replacing the antique vehicle with a high performance vehicle. Tortuous, assigned to the ankle memory storage bin, and we'll see that it's devious, and devious was attached to a crown of thorns, and we can see from memory recall the crown of thorns was close to the word definition, not straightforward. Tortuous, and vanguard we assigned to the head of a lion. Assigned a lion to the word vanguard, actually, because of the leader of the pack. So we closed off the right side that was composed of the synonyms as well as the picture associations. Let's see if our memory is such that we can actually close off the next side with our left hand and see the word association, and that will test our memory as far as being able to quickly associate these 12 words. And by you going back and forth with your right hand and your left hand, you're actually reinforcing memory recall, picture word association very, very intensely so that you're actually filing away these words into these storage bins along the human body. You always remember HEM, hair, ear, mouth, SSE, shoulder, stomach, elbow, AWS, arm, wrist, hand, and KF, knee, ankle, foot. So we've closed off with our left hand the actual words. So we can quickly do the world, cosmopolitan, music note, D note, plug, disconnected, desultory, inharmonious, harsh sound, dissonance, skinny, that was emaciated, sly as a fox, fur, fur of the fox, furtive, uniformity, monotony, and that had to do with the police, the uniform, enigma, paradox, and that picture was of the shadow with his arms around the neck choking the person. Savor, saffron, smell, displace, antique car, displace. So what did that take the place of? And that was supplant, antique vehicle, not straightforward, tortuous, which was assigned to the ankle storage bin, devious, a crown of thorns, adjective, not straightforward, devious, and then of course the lion, vanguard, pathfinder, leaders in the movement. So we can keep going back with our right hand and we can keep going with our left and just keep going back and forth, reinforcing the picture word association. You can spot check and see if you recall what the picture was assigned when you take a look at the words themselves. You're actually reinforcing the color group, blue group, orange group, red group, gray group, with the pictures on the right, and you keep doing that and you're actually filing away into the file cabinets of your mind based on the storage bin. So we do hope that this memory tool is going to be actually working really well for you. You can actually close your eyes at some point and actually see these words in their color-coded group. And if you close your eyes, you can actually see cosmopolitan, D note, desultory, and then you have dissonance, then you have emaciate, furtive was sly as a fox. In the red group, monotony, paradox, and savor. Close your eyes and see the gray group, surplant, tortuous, and vanguard. And you can keep doing a lot of these memory recall tricks. Eventually you'll see the words in their respective color-coded clouds, and you'll be able to actually do a mapping in your mind in exactly as they appear, connected to their synonym and then to their picture word association, and that will continue to reinforce your memory of the word, and you'll be able to actually be able to recall any of these words at any particular time as you continue to reinforce them away in the file cabinets of your mind, in these storage bins. So we hope this word cloud storage memory system is actually working really well for you. If any of the words, of course it's always good to go back to each chapter and review, because a lot of these words we anticipate will appear on your standardized exams. There's so many different ways that you can refresh your memory. Of course, picture word association, as they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. You're actually mapping and filing away the word definition with the picture, along with a synonym too. A lot of times a synonym will appear in your everyday life, and then you'll actually do a mapping to the actual word where you saw it, and you'll remember your exercise. So here we have cosmopolitan, D-note, desultory, disconnected, dissonance, inharmonious, emaciate, skinny, furtive, sly as a fox, monotony, uniformity, paradox, enigma, contradiction, savory smell, surplant, replace the antique car with a high performance vehicle, torturous, crown of thorns, similar to the crucifixion of Christ. Devious as a synonym, and vanguard, leader, leader of the pack. So there we have our 12 words that we're actually working on here for our Volume 2, Chapter 7. This has been a very intense memory system implant for you, if you want to look at it as an implant. But please go ahead and reference this chapter periodically so that you can continue to reinforce the definition of these words, and it's going to continue to expand your vocabulary significantly. We go over a sample sentence, which is further reinforcing the memory recall system, so that you'll actually be able to remember these words, and your mind will be able to pull them at different times as needed, and also as you see them on different standardized exams, you'll be able to quickly recall the picture association. Picture association will trigger the memory of the synonym, and that may also trigger the memory of the definition itself, because you see it as a map in your mind that you filed away into storage bin. So we hope this exercise helped you well, and of course please subscribe and smash the notification bell for our next chapter, with more vocabulary as we stretch and expand your vocabulary, helping you to prepare for whatever is in store for you for your English grammar sections on these standardized exams. And of course, using these chapters also helps you to reinforce your vocabulary if you're in corporate America, especially if you're preparing emails or presentations or memos. You have to be able to present yourself, communicate, and so forth. So thank you for tuning in to Bao News Network, our latest edition of our Perfect English Grammar series, where we're covering vocabulary that we anticipate. We're slowly working towards our list of 500 or 600 words. We may even go beyond that, and we can have some more fun with more of the common words and their synonyms, how they're used. You'll be able to fine-tune your grammar skills with these exercises, and you'll also be able to always return to these chapters and reinforce and use our memory system to actually reinforce the use of the word. But you'll always remember the word furtive because of F-U-R, and you'll remember the picture of the fox, and then you will always remember the word initiate, because you remember someone who looks incredibly thin, trying to fit into oversized jeans. Desultory, and that should also trigger the picture of the plug, the wall plug, disconnected. Paradox, you'll always remember the picture of someone whose shadow is choking them around the neck. And if you recall, it was assigned to the wrist storage bin in our memory system. And torturous, and that was assigned to the KAF group, and that was a gray cloud, and it was mapped to the synonym devious, a crown of thorns on top of your head, similar to the one placed on our Jesus Christ during crucifixion. And then we have vanguard, the image of the lion, a roaring lion, who's a leader of a movement. So there we have it, and let's keep going back and forth, increasing your vocabulary. These storage bin techniques can be used pretty much throughout your entire life to remember even a checklist of things to do during the day. Try it and have some fun with it. We hope that it serves you well, and thank you for tuning in to Bao News Network, our latest edition of Perfect English Grammar, where we expand your vocabulary with 12 words. Please hit that notification bell for our next edition of Perfect English Grammar. Have a great day, and thank you for tuning in to Bao News Network.